wonderful story lovers, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we have a very special story for you, one that I think many of us can relate to, especially in our busy, bustling lives. It's a tale about a tiny creature with a very big work ethic. His name is Buzz, and he's the busiest bee in the entire meadow. Let's fly into his world and see what we can learn from his journey. In a sun-drenched meadow, teeming with life and color, lived a little bee named Buzz. Buzz wasn't just any bee. He was the most dedicated, hard-working bee you could ever imagine. From the moment the sun peeked over the hills, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Buzz was already up and about. His tiny wings would beat 100 times a second, a fuzzy, golden blur against the morning light. His mission was simple, yet endless: collect as much nectar as possible. He loved the feeling of purpose, the sweet scent of blossoms, and the satisfaction of seeing the honeycomb in the hive fill up, drop by golden drop. He would zip from the tall, elegant lilies to the cheerful, bright sunflowers, then dart over to the fragrant lavender bushes, never stopping for more than a second. His friends, other bees like Beatrice and Barnaby, would often call out to him, "Buzz, come float on a clover with us," or "Buzz, the dew on the spider webs is sparkling. You have to see it." But Buzz would just wave a tiny leg and call back, "No time, my friends. There are so many flowers and so little time. I'll rest later." Later was Buzz's favorite word. Rest was something for later. Fun was for later. Everything that wasn't work was always scheduled for a later that never seemed to arrive. The other bees would shake their heads, a little sadly, and go back to their leisurely floating, watching the clouds drift by. They understood the importance of work. Of course, every bee did, but they also understood the importance of savoring the sweetness of the day. One particularly sunny afternoon, the air was thick and warm, and the flowers seemed to bloom with extra vibrance. Buzz was on a roll. He had visited over 100 flowers already, and his little pollen baskets were full to the brim. "Just one more row of poppies," he mumbled to himself, his buzz sounding a little strained. He pushed himself harder, flying faster and faster. But then, something strange started to happen. The world, which was usually a clear and colorful picture, began to wobble. The bright red of the poppies blurred into the green of their stems. Buzz felt a sudden, deep weariness settle into his tiny body, a tiredness so profound it felt like his wings were made of lead. He tried to fly straight, to aim for the next poppy, but his body wouldn't obey. He zigged when he should have zagged, and he dipped when he meant to climb. His buzz, usually a confident hum, became a weak, tired drone. He felt dizzy and overwhelmed. Finally, his little wings gave a final, exhausted flutter, and he tumbled out of the air. He didn't fall far, landing with a soft plop onto the wide, white face of a friendly-looking daisy. He lay there, catching his breath, his tiny chest heaving. He felt defeated. He had never, ever felt like this before. The sun felt too hot, the air felt too heavy, and the scent of the flowers, which he usually loved, was now almost overwhelming. He let out a long, slow sigh, a sound filled with all the tiredness he had been ignoring for so long. The daisy, upon which he rested, seemed to feel his sorrow. It swayed gently in the breeze, and a soft, rustling voice, like the whisper of petals, seemed to rise from its center. "Oh, little one," the voice whispered, so quietly that Buzz wasn't sure if he had imagined it. "You seem so tired." Even the busiest of bees needs to rest. Buzz looked around, startled. Was the flower talking to him? He blinked his big bee eyes. The daisy just swayed, its white petals like a gentle, comforting hand. The voice was right. He was tired, more than tired. He was exhausted, worn out from the inside. The daisy's words echoed in his mind. Even the busiest of bees needs to rest. It was such a simple thought, yet it felt like a revelation to Buzz. He had always seen rest as a waste of time, a delay in his important work. But now, lying here, unable to even lift his wings, he realized that by refusing to rest, he had made himself unable to work at all. The gentle swaying of the daisy was like a lullaby, and the sun on his back was like a warm blanket. Without even meaning to, Buzz felt his eyes grow heavy. Maybe just for a moment, he thought. He closed his eyes. He didn't know how long he slept. It might have been a few minutes, or it might have been an hour. But when he woke up, the world felt different. The dizziness was gone. The heavy weight in his wings had vanished. He stretched his little legs and wiggled his antennae. A feeling of lightness and happiness bubbled up inside him. He felt refreshed, renewed. The colors of the meadow seemed brighter, the air smelled sweeter, and the sun felt pleasantly warm instead of scorching. He looked at the daisy and buzzed a happy, grateful hum. "Thank you," he chirped. The daisy simply rustled its petals in response. Buzz took a deep breath and pushed off from the flower, his wings beating strongly and confidently. He soared into the air, not with the frantic energy of before, but with a new, joyful grace. He could fly straight again. He felt strong. He felt happy. From that day forward, Buzz was a changed bee. He still loved to work, of course. He still flew from flower to flower, collecting nectar and pollen with dedication. He was still one of the hardest working bees in the hive. But he never forgot the lesson the daisy had taught him. He learned to listen to his body. When he felt tired, he would find a soft leaf or a gentle flower and take a short rest. He took time to float on clovers with Beatrice and Barnaby. He stopped to admire the sparkling dew on the spider webs. He discovered that taking these small breaks didn't make him less productive. In fact, it made him even better at his job. He was a happier, healthier, and more efficient bee. And so, Buzz the bee worked hard, but he also rested well. He learned that life wasn't just about being busy. It was about finding a balance. It's about working with passion, but also taking the time to recharge, to enjoy the world, and to simply be. And in doing so, he found a deeper, more lasting sweetness than any nectar he could ever collect. What a wonderful reminder for all of us, isn't it? In our own lives, we can sometimes feel like Buzz, always rushing, always pushing, always telling ourselves we'll rest later. But as Buzz discovered, rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's what allows us to fly high and be our best selves. So, I hope this little story inspires you to find your own daisy, to take a moment for yourself, and to remember that even the busiest of us needs to rest. Thank you so much for joining me for this story today. If you enjoyed our time with Buzz, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more tales that warm the heart and feed the soul. We love having you as part of our community. Until next time, take care and remember to rest. Bye for now.